And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you, hanging out inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill for you out in Pompey on 3149 Sweet Road at the Heritage Hill Brew House. In the country and in the city, you'll find them at Heritage Hill North, their newest location on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, right at Sweetheart Corner. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We're going to start off the show in hour number one with Preston Shumpert. Preston joining me from Syracuse Orange basketball history, and now officially we can say welcome as the Liverpool Warriors Boys Basketball varsity head coach. He'll be joining us momentarily, picture in picture. And in hour number two, Papa Joe joining us as he always does on Thursday, bringing us Major League Baseball news this week and the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium Approval by the City Council. I'm not surprised that it got approved. We'll discuss all of that and what that means as we step forward. So, picture in picture here with me, and excited to have him here on the broadcast here. We had some moments of working through technology this morning, but we got it figured out, and now he is here with us. Mr. Shumpert, we did it. How are you?
Yeah, yeah, we did it, man. Technology is something else, man. Right when you think you got it, you don't got it.
So first and foremost, I know I said it to you when I knew about. I had to keep this secret for a while, Preston, but now that I can officially say it, congratulations and welcome as the varsity head coach for boys basketball at Liverpool.
Appreciate it, Dan, man. Thanks for having me. I look forward to the experience.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for this. I mean, obviously, you were at Liverpool and you were working within the basketball program, JV wise, and getting your team ready and then helping and working, coinciding with Ryan Blackwell. So to come to Liverpool originally, bring me back into how that happened, how Ari Lieberman got you to join the Warriors family, essentially, and become the JV coach first and foremost.
Well, originally I was, once Ryan took the job there, you asked me what I think about coaching and how I feel about coaching and what I would be something that I would look into or be interested in. I was like, oh yeah, sure. But at the time, my sons were playing, so it's so hard to be at two places at once. If parents know out there. So once they were done with high school and they finished, I wanted to revisit. And right when they finished, they put their hooks into me. We're like, okay, now the boy, your sons are finished. Now what do you think? I'm like, I can do it. And so I started out as freshman, a little shortened season, just see how I was going to like it. I know what it takes to be a coach. The level of commitment, the time. So I did the freshman first, and I had a great time with it. And it kind of lit a fire a little bit under me, gave me something to do during the winter time.
Yeah.
And then it just took off from there. Next year, they offered me, wanted to know if I wanted to do the JV job. It came open, and I said sure. And I moved up, and then just being around Ryan, with the JV was, you're around varsity more because you just play the same times, almost like the same level kids around the same age. So after that, it was just a year, spending those years being around him every, day in and day out, looking at the stuff he's doing, traveling, kind of prepping for games, video, all that type of stuff. And then, one day it just happened where he was going to move on. And, the night he called me and asked me about what the situation, like, he's like my brother. I grew up with two sisters, but he's like my brother. And he called me the night when he got the job offer, and he was talking to me about, we were just talking. I'm like, he asked me what I think. I'm like, yeah, I would assume that you have to go, because all the coaching he's done up to this point was for this moment. You never know if you get another one, or maybe you do, maybe you don't. But he ended up taking the job, which I was excited for him. We were both excited, and the spot opened up. So like, you know what? I think I'm ready now for the challenge, and I stepped up, and I was like, I can do this. The guys that I have on my varsity team now are all the guys I've coached. They were all of them were all on my freshman team, and then I moved to JV and I coached them there.
Yeah.
And then, some of them are varsity. But I think there's one kid on there, best player we have. He's on there. And that's the only guy I didn't coach. But all the other guys I've coached, so I've had experience with all the players. And I think that's the most important factor.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, having that experience, and when you're working within this, like you said, working with freshmen and then working with JV, building up these student athletes, and then seeing them on varsity, you're because you have been at Liverpool, because you've been with these kids, like you just stated, a great point. They're not strangers to you, and you're working in tandem with Ryan Blackwell, so you're not doing something that's completely off the wall of what he's doing. When you're building success and good programs throughout history and throughout different levels, you're working together and you're going to that, the highest level, so to speak, and going to Ryan and saying, okay, what do you run? What do you pay attention to? What should I prepare the guys for? So you're not inheriting his guys. You're moving up to varsity to be with your guys, which to me, I think is a huge point.
Yeah, that's exactly, exactly the point. I mean, it pretty much seemed seamless for me to, move from that. It was the situation just worked out perfect. It was like those guys I've coached them. They know how I coach. I got familiar with them, and they're all great guys. And to move to the next level with varsity with them, it was kind of like a no-brainer. And I don't know if those guys would have let me not take the job. They would have probably been beat down my door, and they would have never let me out of the gym.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with those guys kind of getting that continuity. The whole, the program gets continuity, and moving in the same direction altogether.
Yeah, and like you said, Ryan, like a brother to you, called you when he got that offer to be an assistant coach at Siena with Jerry McNamara. You said you had the assumption of like, yeah, he's gonna go. Did he say anything to you like, hey man, like, what do you think? And I mean, was it an exchange of like, hey, do you think I should? And you going, yeah. Like, I mean, what was the conversation?
Yeah, I think it was kind of give and take. I mean, when he talked to me, he called me, and we talked about it for a minute. Then he got a call from somebody. They got off and he called me back. And he's like, when I first saw him, he was like, I'm thinking about taking it. And then something happened. He got on the phone and called me back. And then he was like, hey, you just brought it up. We were just talking, like we're talking here now. And I think he always leaned towards the fact of possibly, going, and because he wanted to be on that level. I just reiterated the idea that he already knew. Yeah. The hardest part was keeping it like you said. You've known for a while that the situation. I knew for a while that his situation. So my thing was keeping it, not letting the cat out of the bag, because a lot of people were trying to contact me or ask me questions. I'm like, not sure, but that stuff's hard. But yeah, even with his basketball knowledge, I try to pick his brain a little bit. And some of the stuff that he did last year, I'll do because it works. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here.
Yeah,
just try to keep that continuity, like I said, and move on with the guys and provide the stability for those guys, and to try to push them, try to achieve a goal.
How good, hindsight 2020, looking at it, how good are you and Ryan Blackwell at keeping secrets?
I would say we're pretty good. Pretty good. All depends on what it involves and who it involves. You know what I mean? So if we don't feel like it's that big of a secret, we might divulge a little info here and there. But I think overall we're pretty good. All depends on the situation, the timing. But I think we're pretty solid. We've learned to get better, because you're privy to information that most people won't be privy to.
Yeah.
So you get to practice a little more.
Yeah, here with Preston Shumpert, Syracuse Orange basketball alum and the new Liverpool Warriors Boys Basketball head coach for varsity here. Preston, coming through this process and knowing that, Ryan, and I had spoken to him about it too, knowing that at some point he wanted to go to college, knowing that this was, being a head coach down the road, being an assistant coach to lead to maybe being a head coach, hopefully being a head coach collegiately, when you know that that's in the background and you're there at Liverpool, was your thought in the back of your mind like, okay, I'm going to stay here. When he does go, when my brother does move forward and go after this next chapter, I want to be here to take this job. I mean, was that in the back of your mind, not knowing exactly when it was going to happen? Were you kind of hoping? Because I'll put it to you like this: you got it a lot faster than Mike Hopkins ever got that job at Syracuse with Boeheim. So
yeah, Yeah, that was definitely quicker than me. Honestly, I never I never really thought about being a coach ever. Even when I played, and then after I played with, eventually it kind of grew on me. I thought I'd be out of the gyms by now, but I'm still in the gym.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, yes, I would think that, a small part in my mind was thinking that I think eventually Black Ryan would move on and go coach somewhere else. I didn't know when or what time. We never know that stuff.
Yeah.
You can get the chance to move on or not move on and wait and get a chance right after. You may never get another chance.
Yeah.
In the back of my mind, I had a feeling that he would eventually, because he's a great coach, he's a great guy. He's great with the players. He's experienced. I think at back of my mind, I think he would. I knew he would eventually move on and get a chance to play. Go coach somewhere.
Yeah.
Just didn't know when, and when it happened that quick, I was a little take. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little taken, back by like, oh man, wait a minute, wait a minute, he's leaving. That means they're naturally gonna, ask me, am I interested in the job?
Yeah.
But sometimes sometimes you get time to prepare for some of these things like this. You know what I mean? And when the opportunity presents itself, sometimes you may not be prepared. Maybe you are, you just don't think you are.
Yeah.
And I think I am. And I didn't necessarily know I was, you know what I mean? But at this point, like we talked about before, the move seemed pretty much, seamless for everybody, for the school, the whole program, the coaches, the players, especially, which is more important is the players. So just my time to step up to the plate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so many things to get to, but I want to hit this personally, selfishly at this moment. I don't know if you know this. I think I told you this years ago, but people, and I joke about this too because you wore number 3 and Mac wore number 3, and so when people think of Jerry and they think of that number, I'm like, no way. Preston had that number as well, and you got to respect that number. Good 3-point shooter, good player. You did things to round out your game when you were at Syracuse, but I don't know if I've ever said it to you, so I'm going to say it to you when the world can watch and hear this. You are one of my favorite Syracuse players of all time. So my favorite, and nobody can get mad at me for this. I was 9 years old, Cuse in the house. Oh my God, is John Wallace. But
yeah, of course.
But you are one of my favorite players, and I absolutely just like there's those guys you just root for. And I don't know if you've heard this from people in the community and whatnot, but I always was rooting for you. And it was one of those things where I'm like, man, I'd love to meet Preston, love to see, what's up with him. So for me this morning, I think it's important to tell people, no matter what your age is or what you're doing, to chase your dreams, because now I'm picture in picture and have the opportunity to talk with someone I deeply respect. So if you didn't know that, I want you to know that you're one of my favorite SU players of all time.
I appreciate it, man. I'm out all the time. I'm around because I live here. I love the area. I'm always out all the time. I'm not a big me guy, so I don't, some of the stuff I don't, I don't do a lot of, I don't know, video stuff or internet stuff. I go to work. I love to coach. But I see a lot of people that always tell me, how they supported us and came out to games. I always tell people that were fans or like yourself, a kid, how much I appreciate, people coming out to watch us play in the dome. I think everybody, as far as ex-players, would say that. I'm the a few guys that are still around here, especially when I got to go out in January and February, and I know that as a player I get front door access. You got the fans got to go park and walk up to the dome and come in, enjoy the game, then leave in traffic. Unbelievable. The fans here are unbelievable, and when I was here playing, Coach Bam would always talk about that. Talk about the fans and his interviews here and there. The support of the fans were huge, and I didn't really, I paid attention to it, but I didn't really get it because I was just a player at that time. You don't really think about that stuff, but the fact that guys like yourself being kids and the fans and your parents, getting you out to games and filling that dome up, all those games, even we played, the smaller schools, it was incredible. The support was incredible. I had the time of my life playing for Syracuse and in the dome. Some of my greatest moments there. It's just really special to me, and I'm just happy to be a part of and live here still today. And I enjoy it. Anytime fans come up to me, I'm never, shooing them away or being like, oh no, I don't. I respect them. I appreciate it, and it's always great when people root for you and they're in your corner.
Yeah, and like you said, you loved playing here, loved being here. What brought you back? What was the original like move of okay, I'm going to come back to the community?
Well, eventually after college, I played a little. I was doing summer league and stuff like that for the NBA,
Yeah.
and I got offers from overseas. And long story short, I ended up taking the guaranteed money and playing overseas for a first year. Then I came back and did the same thing summer league again and did pretty good. Didn't get offered guaranteed money, so I went overseas again because I had a good my first 2 years, really good, and then after that, I just stayed overseas because I already established my name, established a presence, and I was winning. Winning is what it's all about, and I won over there. So I had it's easier for me to just be overseas. But I met my wife was in college, and she was here with family, so it just makes it easier for me once I have my kids, just for them to get help. And I just always stuck around. I mean, I'm a Florida guy at heart, but man, I got enough in Florida the last couple of weeks with that 96-degree weather, that humidity,
Yeah.
and I'm good on that. I'm out of those. Those were my older days when I was younger. I could sweat it out. Now, it's too hot. That humidity was tough.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, and it's funny that you said that. You're a Florida guy at heart, Fort Walton Beach down in Florida.
Sure.
And so you're a Florida guy at heart. You're up here. I'm born and raised Syracuse, New York. Florida's my second home. A few weeks
Right.
ago, I was down in Florida, and I'm going to tell people this. When it was 98 in Orlando versus 87 in Syracuse, I don't care what anybody says. You might disagree with me, but I don't care what anybody says here on this. The humidity in central New York is worse than the humidity in Florida. I felt like I was more suffocated here than I was down there. You disagree?
Brutal, brutal. I don't know if it was just because you never get it here, so it seems like 10 times worse,
Yeah.
or was it 10 times worse? Because I think it was about the same. It was about the same weather. I mean, literally, I was here like, man, if I wanted this weather, I would have stayed in Florida.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say it's like it's crazy, but you have the blessing of living in both places, right? You go home, you come here. This has become a home.
right.
This is my home. I go down there. It's become a home. So we both have that connection back and
Yeah.
forth. When you go down to Florida, do you ever do like Disney, Universal, SeaWorld? Do you ever do any of that stuff? Is it like beach, family? Is it let's go to the parks and let's do some of this stuff? Like, if you're going to go down to Florida, what are you going to do?
Strictly family. I get here with my family. My favorite thing is I go fishing. I love to go fishing, so it's pretty much family and fishing, stuff like that. I couldn't see myself going to like Disneyland or no theme park like that when it's 96 degrees, all that humidity. I'm just not. I'm just not there. Unless you get the little fast pass. My niece and nephew go down all the time. They have that fast pass, and they're like, "Man, it works." I'm sure there's no way you can wait in lines in that heat. So I go down. It's usually, like I said, it's usually just family. I go fishing. We cook out. We just hang out. Nothing major. Like I said, I'm a Florida guy at heart, so I'm not looking to necessarily do anything. I just want to. I don't get down there that much. When I do, I just want to kind of hang out, relax, see, like I said, see family, do some fishing. That's about it.
Yeah, in Fort Walton Beach, I mean, you're on the Panhandle. You're literally
Yep.
like past Tallahassee, all the way on
Yep.
the upper part of Florida here. And so,
Yep.
like, I've been from Tallahassee, Jacksonville, all the way down to Miami, like three-quarters of Florida coverage, broadcasted live, done a bunch of things with teams throughout the
hmm
state of Florida. But I've never been to Fort Walton Beach, so I know it's like right on the water, not too
Yep.
far from Panama City Beach. So
Yep.
what is in by Mobile, Alabama as well. So what's the life like there? And what were you saying about Mobile? Is it really close?
Well, I mean, I'm closer to Mobile than I am probably, definitely Miami, definitely Tampa.
Yeah.
Might be closer to Mobile than I am. Probably, I think Jacksonville. I'm pretty sure Jacksonville too. The Panhandle, where I'm from is literally like southern Alabama, basically. I mean, there's more. We joke. The biggest joke there is if you're an Alabama fan or you're a Florida State fan. You know what I mean? Like no Miami, no none of that. It's either Alabama or Florida State. So that's how relevant, Alabama is to that part of the, that part of the state. It's nice. I mean, you were 10 minutes from the beach anywhere. I'm not a big beach person. I go down with a little umbrella or something like that, but I'm not a big beach person. I don't deal with sharks either. I don't. I don't deal with that. I mean, I've been just home just maybe last week. There was like 4 or 5 shark attacks. No, I don't want to deal with that stuff. I'm cool on the beach with an umbrella, but very nice, beachy. The best part, Fort Walton is really nice. There's another part called Destin which is really nice. It's white sand. It's really nice. If you're a beach person, you're that type of person. But if you live in Florida, you're forced to be a beach person. You know what I mean? You're forced to be a pool guy. I'm a pool guy. Me personally, side by the pool with a little umbrella. I'm definitely a pool guy.
Yeah.
I stick to the pool. I leave the beach to the everybody else. You know what I mean?
I picture you, like, I almost want to like put together a commercial where they have the beach and they're showing like this montage of shark attacks, and then they pan out and here's Preston Shumpert, glasses on, umbrella, having a drink, and you just turn and they go, "Preston, are you a beach guy or a pool guy?" And you go, "Pool." And they go, "Why?" And then you put your glasses down and you go, "No sharks." And there's no sharks in the pool. That's how
No
it is.
sharks. No sharks. Yeah, exactly. No sharks. Listen, I respect Mother Nature too much to be out there. No, I'm okay. I like I said, when I was younger, we'd go out there, waist deep, and you'd brush against stuff, and it'd be, "Oh, okay, guys, that's it for me. I'm out of here." So I just, I see the pool. I know it's the same thing with less threat, and I have to worry about anything else. So I'm legitimately the pool guy.
So, because you're close to Alabama, are you Crimson Tide football? Are you Florida State? Are you Seminole football? Are you Syracuse football? Where are you at?
I'm a Florida State guy, I got love for Alabama. They do a great job, but growing up, I'm a Florida State guy. I mean, it's so funny. I remember, obviously Syracuse played on TV. I'd see it on TV when they were playing the big games, in the dome, basketball as well. So I knew, that, about football and here in Syracuse. But when I came here, they were pumping football. Pumping. I'm just like, oh, to me, football, Florida State, Alabama, Miami, Georgia. That's like, that I know Syracuse had a very good football team. It just didn't know quite the heritage behind it. And once I came here and learned more about it, I grew more respect for it. You know what I mean? But down south, you have those big programs that are just always in the national spotlight, always, in the front, um, you know, in the front as far as, the conversation is national championships and big time programs. So I grew a lot of respect for the football program when I came here, as well as lacrosse. When I was in high school growing up, I didn't know what lacrosse was. I didn't know lacrosse was until I came to Syracuse. And then I learned about the game. The sport, went to a few games and where it originated. Awesome sport, and definitely more action packed and physical than I thought it would be. I had no clue what lacrosse was, and now it's everywhere. It's down in Florida, it's in Miami, it's all over the country now. But prior to coming to Syracuse, I had no clue what lacrosse was. It wasn't a thing. I had no clue, and then I came here, and I'm like, wow, a whole nother sport that I was opened my eyes to, and then I gained a lot of respect for them. And once I started meeting the guys at SU too, they were good dudes, and went and go support those guys some, and got a lot of respect for that sport as well.
Preston Shumpert here with us this morning on the heels of being named the Liverpool Warriors Varsity Boys Basketball head coach here on Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. So if you are a Florida State Seminole football fan, which by the way, Mike Norvell, I have a good relationship with the head coach. I knew him the whole time he was at Memphis for 4 years. So when they hired him at Florida State, I said to the fans, don't say anything and let this man have a few years. Y'all going to be all right. So here's my question to you. In realignment, Preston, does my theory and my prediction come true? I don't want it to, by the way. I'm kind of like sick to my stomach over it, because when I make these predictions, I make them based on, looking at different falling pieces and things coming together. And, I make an educated guess off of looking at things that are happening or things that I see potentially can lead to them happening. I think they're going to be in the SEC. Agree or disagree?
That's a great question. I'm not. That's a really good question. I think I don't even know. It seems like it's just gonna be a one big massive conference. It seems like they're just gonna take newcomers like the top tier schools that like really produce the fans, the following, the act, the I don't know what you call it, just basically the following and everything. Like I said, the forefront of conversation about championships and all that. It seems like it almost has to go that way because SEC's taking in who I think they're adding Texas. I think they're adding
Oklahoma.
Yeah, there you go. Oklahoma. I mean, I was almost like, what other conference could you be in that's going to hold as much weight? Because a lot of the college football thing is who you play, where you play them, and that matters. Like you could lose to one of those teams early in the year, and you don't get punished as much as if you lost to in that same conference a lower bottom of the barrel team that's in the lower part of that conference. So
yeah.
It's very competitive. College football is just its own thing. It's really hard to judge. I would think probably I would have to agree. I would be, if I had to pick right now, I'd probably say, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I would think that SEC is going to turn into not even like an SEC anymore. It's just going to be like a power conference and then like other conferences. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I could see them going off on their own. Can I make you a Jaguar fan since you're on the Panhandle?
Jaguars. I got love for. I was happy when Florida won the hockey team. They just won the Stanley Cup. I was like, yes, I was going for Florida because anything Florida, I'm down with. If it's a Jaguar, I'm a Florida State fan, but anything Florida, as long as we bring it home, I'm okay. And I got plenty of teams. If Jaguars are doing good, I respect the Jaguars. I like the Jags. Just when I was a kid growing up, there was no they weren't a team. There was no Jacksonville Jaguars. It was just Miami Dolphins. But growing up, my guy was Jerry Rice, so I turned to a San Francisco 49ers fan.
Yeah.
But I got love for all the sports teams, man. I like the Jags. I see your shirt. You're rocking your shirt on there.
Yeah.
I got respect for the Jags. They got to face some hard times, but they finally got a quarterback, and they're trying to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely trying to work to it. And speaking of working to it, Preston, you said a lot of the things that Ryan Blackwell does and has done well, and obviously leading to the opportunity for sectional championships and state titles. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of success here. How do you put your stamp on it with what Ryan's done and things you want to continue? How do we marry what's been working at Liverpool to this is the Preston Shumpert, I want to put a little bit of my, ingredients in here. So how do we mesh the two together of this is what has been working and I want to keep this train, this well-oiled machine moving in the right direction. But I also think that I can add a little bit of who I am as a coach. How do we bring those two together?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Excuse me. I think it comes back to winning. You know what I mean? Like no one really, they care, but they don't really care as long as you win. You know what I mean? So like it could be anybody could be the coach as long as the product is it's a good product and you're winning, is being successful. That's the measuring stick. So my measuring stick is not trying to match what Ryan did. It's just trying to be just as good as what he was doing and try to strive to be even better and push these guys in the same direction that he's already started pushing them, and I was right along with them. So try to put my own stamp on it is just continue to win, and like that stuff will follow. You know what I mean? Like if you win, people they tend to just accept the fact that there's a new coach, there's new leadership there. Winning is the utmost goal. I mean, the players, these guys, like I was there at one time. You spend so much time at this game and practicing and preparing yourself to try to be good and achieve great things. And there's highs and lows in the game. You just hope the fact that you get a fair shake and you get a coach that's supportive and pushes you and wants the same things out of the game and the seasons every year as they do. And that's what I'm really here for. I mean, to push these guys, and some of these guys will go on and play other sports if they're lucky. Some guys play basketball. Some guys, we have guys on our team that, last year that were really good lacrosse guys that filled in and they played a role.
Yeah.
That team concept and that stuff always comes back to play. And being, just being in your role and being great in your role is more important. And you're going to try to accomplish great things. This type of stuff, your high school years, you tell them now that they're always going to remember this the rest of their lives. And as a kid, I was, at one point you were, you kind of get it, but you don't really get it because you don't understand at the time. But they will, and as the time goes, they get closer and closer. Graduate and get out of high school, and it kind of hits home a little bit. These guys start to realize, wow, these are the greatest times of my life. The friends that you have cultivated during the years, growing up, the highs and lows, like I said, and it's more about being positive experiences, and just knowing that you always got to strive for greatness, and you might reach your idea of greatness or your pinnacle of greatness, and which is always great, but sometimes you're not. But it's okay to fail sometimes, and that's how you do the most learning from there. So my whole idea is just continue the tradition we've had, push the winning, push these guys in the right direction. Like I said before earlier in our interview, the way we speak about it, and hopefully these guys will take some of the stuff I teach them and Ryan's taught them, and kind of preach to them over and over throughout the course of our time together, that they can look back on and be like, man, coach was right. He was right. This is more about life than it is just sports. You learn a lot of life lessons through sports, and that's really my ultimate goal.
Yeah, building good men and not just, successful basketball players is important. And with this news coming out just a few days ago, officially, did you have the opportunity? I mean, we're in a unique situation with school ending. Did you get to meet with the team and talk with the guys?
No, I mean, it's so funny. We're talking about, can you keep it a secret? I was pretty much, I knew, but I didn't know, I was going to be offered the job and have a chance to coach them. So there was things that was going on. So all the basketball stuff was over with. We turned in jerseys and all that, but they're talking about having open gyms and the summer leagues and all that stuff. And naturally those guys are going to, they're going to want to know what the schedules are. What are we doing moving forward? Who's going to be the coach? And, at the time, the interviews were getting situated. Mr. Lieberman had to, officially make it official. So I just had to wait, just wait a little bit. But I was with those guys just trying to tell them that, during the time when Ryan was gone, I'll be kind of facilitating in between, just so we can, stay on the same page and keep these guys locked in as far as some of the guys that want to play ball.
Yeah.
And so that's where we were with it basically. But I'm not 100% sure. I didn't technically have a meeting since I've been announced a coach. I guess I can now. I mean, we'll have summer leagues, and I have a summer league game tonight. We'll play tonight, and out in Liverpool we have a summer league. Like I said, we'll have our summer league, and I guess they know by now it's official, but I'll tell them again. So kind of just mess with them a little bit. So, but yeah, they know now. So word travels fast.
Defensively, what can we anticipate from Preston Shumpert's Warriors?
Well, Ryan, I saw how Ryan used to coach and the emphasis he put on defense, and I did much of the same on my teams that I play. That I've been coaching there. Defense is a major part. We will play the 2-3 zone. Yes, we will, and times where times where it's needed. But it's less of to me, it's less about just playing 2-3 zone because quote unquote, you think it's easier, it's not as hard as work less, it's easier to coach. None of those things. Is just time and situation.
Yeah.
I think you got every situation is going to be different, but it's more about man to man. I mean, if you can play that and we're good at it, great. We can work. We can use it. But I think having having both those defenses and understanding how both can be effective is important, and we'll use them accordingly based on the teams we play, or times we get a little bogged down, maybe we get a little tired. We might have to play a little zone because it just works for us. So, but definitely intense, definitely detail oriented. I think that's the biggest key, especially for these high school guys. Right when you think they got it, just like the technology, they don't got it. So staying on them about that stuff, they never want to do that. They always want to work on offense, but that's where I come in. That's when I'm the bad guy, but it's okay. I'll be the bad guy sometimes.
So, when you look at that side of it, the statute of limitations is over, so you can answer this question. Did you like playing 2-3 for Boeheim?
Yeah. Listen, I was type of guy where I don't care what we're playing or what position you got me. I just want to be on the floor. If I don't care if I'm wherever I am, that's where I'm going to be. But guess what? I could be on the bench, but I'm out here. So let's do whatever we're doing. That's what we're doing. And like I said, it's more. I enjoy playing the 2-3 zone. Like I said, it was a weapon. sometimes you're playing against teams that they really want to get after you one-on-one, or they really have really good complex sets offensively. And a lot of times you don't have a lot of time to break that stuff down. You're playing. Usually college you're playing twice a week, so you can see your opponent. You know who your opponent is. Week by week basis. But you're so focused on the game at hand, you don't have that much time to break down the next team. Zone is pretty universal as far as the way we run it, the way you coach it. So sometimes when those situations arise, you can always fall back on that stuff. But my team, we always start out. We always play man to man. But like I said, we'll touch on the zone. We'll use it accordingly. And even you got to play zone to hide some guys. Some guys just aren't inept or guarding tough matchups, and the zone kind of takes them out of that matchup and makes it more of a team defense and makes people kind of strategize a little more. And hopefully you can kind of gain that cushion throughout the game, piece by piece, bit by bit, minute by minute, man, and win those battles. So yeah, we'll do both. And I did enjoy playing the zone. I did. I enjoy just playing. Wherever it's going to be, that's where it's going to be. I'm in there.
So, assistant-wise, is there going to be some continuity? Do you bring in somebody that you really want to be there by your side? What can we look at for the staff at Liverpool?
Yeah, it's going to be continuity. We had some guys that were around the program. We had Brian's one of his top assistant, Brett Liedka. He was helping Ryan a lot. He's still with us. We have one of the modified guys that coach modified. He'll move up, a young guy that played for Ryan. Will Cutler was on the team when Ryan coached. Can't remember what year that was, but he played for Ryan. Him and his brother, and Ryan had a really good team that year. One of the best players got hurt that year, and it kind of stymied their chances. But they were a successful year. But he'll coach. He'll still be on staff. A young guy that's coming up that's interested in learning, and he's trying to get better as far as coaching and just understanding the game. He's a student of the game. So and we'll go from there. Then on down, we have guys that have been in the program that have coached before. They coached through modified or coach. So pretty much the same guys. And we're always open to new guys. So we had some other guys that come in that were interested in the job. So we'll see. We'll play it by ear, and if those guys are interested in it. But pretty much we got the same guys. Like I said, it seemed pretty seamless. We have guys that were already in place. That the kids know them. The kids have played for them before, even if it was modified level or just were on varsity. They just know these guys. And for me, anybody, I would think that would be the best situation. If you're going to, we're picking you up, Dan, and your show's moving to Kansas, but you get to take two guys with you.
Yeah.
That move would be a little more comfortable. You'd have guys to, downtime to hang out with, bounce ideas off of, instead of you just going to Kansas City and just being the guy, Dan, and having your show in Kansas City and just being there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel that 100%. And the thing I'm excited about is, for the varsity team and for Liverpool athletics in general, every month we're out at Avicoli's right down the street. And I've been having years there with Ryan Blackwell and this Liverpool Boys Basketball varsity team. Now I have you, Preston, and you and I will get to sit down and do these things, out of season, in season, and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to sitting down and having some pizza with Preston. I think that's good.
Hey man, I'm pizza. Come on, what's better than pizza? Sitting down talking sports to eat pizza. But I tell you what, I do like Heritage Hill. I've been to Heritage Hill. I live out in Janesville, DeWitt area, and I've been there a couple of times. Nice place, man. I like it. Kid friendly, beautiful location. The one in Pompey, I haven't been to the other one, but that one up there in Pompey is really nice. The area is great, beautiful place.
I love the fact that I mentioned one partner we have in the community. Preston mentions another one. Just a shameless plug that I did not ask for. So that's
He did not ask for it. Shameless plug.
So let's jump into this. We're gonna play some rapid fire. So you and I can put each other on the hot seat. We could ask each other anything. It could be basketball, can be music, movies, TV, food, whatever we want. And I will let you ask me first. Since coaches never get to ask questions, I'm going to let you ask the first question.
Jags.
Yes, sir.
What are you looking at? What record? What do you think their record's going to be this year?
I went through it, and I am a glass half full guy. I'm also an impartial broadcaster, so I won't sit here and be like, "Oh yeah, they're going to be 17-0." Like I don't do things like
Right.
that.
Right.
I'm Houston's going to be tough
Yeah.
because their window of not being that great was like 2 years. And so I think they have to split with them. I think Tennessee, they can win both of those. I think Indy might be a wild card, win one of those. Maybe Indy sneaks up on them if Anthony Richardson is healthy. So I'm going to say in division, let's say 2-0 against Tennessee. Let's say 1-1 against the other two. So that puts them with, 4 and so that gives them 4-2. I would say looking at the rest of the schedule, it depends. They're playing the Jets later. So is Aaron Rodgers healthy? They got to play Green Bay. They got 2 games out in London. I think they can get to like 10. I would like to hope they can get 11, but
Right.
but if they're 9-8, then they're probably out of the playoffs or maybe fighting for the wild card. But I would like to say 10 wins. But I will say this to people who blame Trevor. 1, he played 3 years in the NFL. He was drafted to the worst team in the NFL. He had a coach in Urban Meyer that was there for 5 seconds. So that's year 1. Year 2, he brings him to the playoffs. Year 3, he brings him to the brink of the playoffs, playing injured for like 4 weeks, having a third-string left tackle, having an offensive line that was hurt, and not necessarily the best offensive play calling at times. So for the people that blame Trevor Lawrence and think that this extension was a mistake, I really question your decision-making and thought process of how this was Trevor's fault. So I think they got the right guy, and I'm hopeful, but last year should have been better, but some things you can't control, like injuries.
I totally agree with you. I think I don't see how you could blame Trevor. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. The guy's a good player. Like you said, he got drafted to the team. They were awful. They were in flux as far as they didn't know what they were doing. They had no identity. Um, and I don't know. I don't see how people could blame him. Okay, do you want him to play better? Yeah, of course. But I'm sure at times people wanted every player they lead their team to play better. I don't see how they could. I could blame him. And like, if you don't, extend him, who are you going to get? Like, who are you going to get if you don't extend this guy? This guy's been there.
Yeah.
He's durable. I mean, God, the guy's been durable. The guy's he's done everything people wanted or asked. And I just don't know if you don't have him, who would you have? There's not a lot of guys out there like that. And so I think they're good with him.
Yeah, that was my exact sentiment. Who do you get if you don't have him?
There's not just tons of guys out there like that. You can't just pluck a guy from somewhere else either, because at that position, once they get someone, they're not just letting them go for a couple of draft picks, and it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. We got lucky. I'm a Niners fan. We got the Purdy guy, and it just happened to work out. And he's a good player for our system, and with the coach and play calling, and we've been close. We haven't got over the hurdle. Hope we can do it this year, but I mean, you can't fault the guy. I mean, the guy just started, he just stepped into it, and it's gonna be some tough spots. He's gonna have to learn and play. And when it comes down to it, who else are you gonna get?
Yeah. Well, I have my question back to you, and I'm going to shout out Anthony Campbell, a friend of mine, and also works at GG Cards and Breaks, our sports card shop of choice, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse. He's a big-time Niner fan, but he is an anti-Kyle Shanahan fan. So I want to ask you, Preston, are you a Shanahan fan?
Man, we need a three-way call with that guy, man. How could he not be a Shanahan guy? The guy's he's been productive. I mean, listen, he has been in spots where they got close and didn't get over the hump, but like, it's hard to win in NFL. It's hard to win, consistently in NFL. It's very, very hard. I am a Shanahan guy. I believe in him. He's a young guy. He's an innovative. He's an offensive guy. He's I think he's ahead of his time as far as play calling, that type of stuff. Yeah. And the results speak for themselves. Like, you know what I mean? The results speak for, and now if he was stinking it up and we were just struggling and we were going back and forth and, unsure how we wanted to coach and we were unsure of teammates and players and we traded guys off that we should have kept. And
Yeah.
man, him and John Lynch have been great. I think the coaches. I mean, you got to have the players, but I'm a Shanahan guy. I'm gonna stick with him. Plus, who else are we gonna get? We can't. Who else are we gonna get? I mean, there's not a lot like a ton of guys out there. I'd be like, what? We lost Shanahan. Let's go get this guy.
I am absolutely clipping this and putting that out there for him. Your reaction, your hands on your head, and get like,
Come on, man. What's that guy's name? What's his name again?
Anthony Campbell.
Anthony, come on, man. Anthony, that's my middle name, man. Don't do me like that. Come on, man.
What's your next question for me?
Need your support, man. I know. Are you? I saw a thing on Syracuse.com. I'm interested on what player are you most interested to see this year from SU?
Good question. Well, a ton of them left, so that's sad. But, I was like, they can't lose Malik Brown. He's their nucleus. Lost him. Well, they can't lose Q. Lost Q. So
I know.
I was really high on those guys. I would say
with you.
And I don't know who was in Judah's ear, and I'm not gonna put this solely on Judah, but who told him to go to the NBA after the NBA said no, you have to go back and learn more. And I thought it was leadership. I thought it was show us you're a true point guard, set guys up, do better things, make good decisions, truly show us that you can handle being a leader because everybody can play street ball and everybody can make shots and this and that when they go to the NBA.
Right.
He did less in his sophomore year than he did in his freshman year, and then he left for the NBA. So I have no idea who was talking to him, but I'm frustrated for his future because I want the best for Judah, and I don't think going this year was the best. So
I agree.
But I would say, who am I most excited about this year? Jeepers Christmas. Who's left? I would say
because most of the guys are here now. You don't even know. I get you go dig up info, but you don't even know their style of play. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's hard to say with the new guys and whatnot. I will say this. I'll say that Kyle Cuff, to me, Kyle Cuff Jr., the way that he spoke when we did interviews together and just the type of person he is and what he wants to bring to the team and being a true team player, I think he's my low key. I hope people are watching him and paying attention to him. And, Chris Bell, him and I have had a lot of conversations, cerebral conversations. And I won't forget what he said to me at the beginning of last season, where he said, I don't want to be an energy consumer. He said, I feel like I'm an energy consumer at times and I need to be given energy and be more positive essentially. But he's like, I've been a consumer and I'm trying to not take it away and I'm trying to give it. And I kept going back to that theme with him all season long and addressing that. So I think that I would love to see him get more defensively active. I'd love to see him attack inside more. I'd love to see him in transition more. I'd love to see him around the rim more and add to his overall game as well as, taking the shots. So I'm probably going to say Bell just because I really like the fact that he's so much more than what people think he is. And when you're with him one-on-one, which is what I try to do with the guys, when I get to talk with guys one-on-one, I get to know them. I got to know Jeremy Grant before the world did. I got to know Trevor Cooney before the world did because I was talking to them when nobody was.
Of course.
And with Bell, I just really think he's more. And if he can tap into that and he can focus consistently and he can get his mind right and be mentally tough with this and control his emotion at times, I think that I'm really going to chronicling his journey and just kind of sitting with him and talking about game with him.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I think I can see where people would say that. I can see where you say that because he's showing flashes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's showing flashes. It only has you wanting a little more. You know what I mean? In sports, it's insatiable. You know what I mean? You could be, you have a good game, but I tell people all the time, okay, you have, my guys, they'll have a good game. That's great, but you have to find the consistency. You have a bad game. That's great. Guess what? That game's over with. You have a chance to bounce back. Until you hang it up for good, you have those times where you can play another game. There's another practice. There's more free throws you can shoot. The Westry kid, is important. Is kind of intriguing to think about. I think I want to see how he does, but it's tough when you have guys that just come and then go because for when I played it was a commitment. You came to stay, but the world is so much different now in college. It's just you just never know. It's interesting to think about. Some of the new guys, I don't want to just shun those guys just because I don't know them or have knowledge about them. Just want to support them, and it's tough nowadays to try to pick that one.
I'm gonna throw it back to you because I feel like the Syracuse fans watching would be like, I want Dan, I want to know where Preston's at. So who's your guy that you circled and said like I really want to see what he does this year at Syracuse?
I love the Cuff kid. I think he's more of like a kind of like a throwback guy. You know what I mean? He's unselfish.
Agreed.
He wants what's best for the team. And he just. I'm not saying other guys don't. It just he presents that. I don't think every time he was complaining about not playing or he was a headache. He wasn't. He came, went to work. If he played, he played. If he didn't, try to get better and try to move on. So he's interesting. The Westry kid is, I guess he's a question mark. You don't know. I mean, for me personally, if I had to pick, it would be the Westry kid because I think he can be good. I think he has potential, and just seeing how he fits into the whole Adrian Autry's system and the way he coaches, I think so. I would probably have to say Westry just because I'm just unsure. He's intriguing. He was hurt, so we never got a real good look with him. But the Cuff kid I like him, and I want to say Westry. Okay. The men's thing just threw me for a loop. I had people were asking me because at school people ask me, I'm out about what do you think about men's? He's coming back. I said it could be tricky because is he coming back to, like you said, work on and become a better leader and a better organizer of the game and the floor and get the motor going. You know what I mean? As point guard, you have a role to kind of get that motor going. Do you want to do that, or are you coming back to get your shine on? You know what I mean? Are you coming back to get more shots and score more because you did that? You showed us that you could score. You can make you're a tough shot maker, but sometimes what the team needs is a little more as far as like you said, organization wise. Especially from that position, that point guard position, you're kind of like the leader on the floor.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. He showed me less than he did freshman, and then he leaves, and so what are you going to do?
Yeah,
So, answer your question, I'm going to go Westry.
Fair enough. I like it. I already got my last one for you, and I'll tell you why in a second, but what's your last one for me?
Okay. How long have you been doing this currently, this job you got here? How long have you been doing it?
So I started broadcasting when I stepped into college, and I'm not even going to say it was amateur because we were in Northeast PA out of Marywood University, and we were broadcasting to tens of thousands of people on radio and video, and I was doing NCAA basketball men's and women's games. So I've been doing this for November of this year. It'll be 21 years, which is my favorite number. I started when I was 18. And I can't believe it's been this long. I worked with ESPN affiliates in 3 states. I worked with Fox Online, and I worked with a Yahoo affiliate. At 26, I started my company. So July 20th, less than a month from now, my company turns, 12 years old. And so I've been working for myself longer than I work for anybody else. I have more credentials for myself, have gone to more places, traveled more, done more, worked with more businesses for myself than I did for anybody else. And I think, putting my name on the door and fighting for that name, fighting for, my family, how I was raised and all of that, there's no greater when people are like, why would you leave this and why would you leave that to do this? And when you left to do the internet, people didn't know if it was going to work. People thought it was like a joke. People didn't know what podcasting was. And I said, when you're a broadcaster, you can do it anywhere. And when you believe in what you're doing and you have a message to share, I have leaned on the pillars of faith in God, honesty, humility, comedy, community, just showing coaches and players and administration that there's someone in the media that they could be safe with, somebody that they could be like Ryan was on the show, and Ryan got interviewed a ton of times over a decade at least, probably, but Ryan and I are friends. You
Right.
know, you and I don't think you're on this show right now if you've seen me lie, if you've seen me change words, if you've seen me
Oh, correct.
plagiarize.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
Totally
I
agree.
I think who I am and why I am who I am is, I mean, it's a huge part of what I do, because I think when you're honest and you care, you can't hide it. And I think when you pretend to be honest and care, you can't hide it. So
Right.
for me, I just I love telling stories. I love sports. I love people. And when I'm done with this world, if I can show somebody that God exists, if I can show somebody that they're not alone, if I can show someone that when someone puts their arm around you, there's not a knife in the other hand. You know, at the end of my life, if people can feel better from the time we spent together, and they can feel heard, noticed, appreciated, they can laugh, and they can, you know, cry and know that they have a shoulder. If at the end of my life I can make a positive impact, then I've done what I wanted to do and what I needed to do. So why am I
Yeah.
in it? Because I love people. Why do I keep doing it? Because I love people. And no matter what is done toward me, there's no better shield than God. So I'm never going to battle without the biggest one by my side. And I think that there's times where I have to remember that, because the media world is cutthroat and it's evil
Yeah.
and it's fake. But if I can show people that someone in the media is none of those things, well, then hopefully there's hope for the media for the future.
Yeah, I hear you, man. All that stuff that's great to hear. I mean, and I agree with you. Being honest and just being, the being that person that's you see on that's real. You know what I mean? You are who you get. You know what I mean? I think that stuff is way more important than amount of views and all this stuff. Because a lot of people are just doing it for the wrong reasons. They're looking to get something much more out of it than just, like you say, good conversation, laughing, meeting people, understanding, conversation about different things, and that stuff travels. That stuff travels. I mean, basketball is a perfect thing. We were just talking about defense. That stuff travels. Defense travels. You might not be able to hit all the shots for whatever reason. Different rim, different setting, lighting, but you can play defense. You know what I mean? That stuff travels, and I think all the stuff you hit on, it all travels, man. It all travels.
I appreciate that. I want to hit you with this, because this is personal to me, and I just had a conversation about it. I used to cover Summer League, and I covered Orlando.
Yep.
I am heartbroken to this day that my 5 or 6 years down at Orlando Pro Summer League, when there was like 8, 10, 12 teams down there, and consistently the Indianas and or obviously the Orlando Magic, the Boston Celtics, the Sixers, there's a bunch of teams that came down there. They had it. Utah had one. Vegas had
Yeah.
one. Now Vegas took the whole thing. I loved being at Summer League because, again, I love interviewing and meeting new people and making my world small in a good way. I also got to see Kentavious Caldwell-Pope 2 years before people knew about him. I got to see a bunch of Syracuse guys. I got to be around, God bless him in heaven, Fab Mello. I was around Johnny Flynn, Arinze Onawaku for a bunch of years. So
Yep.
I got to see these guys come through, James Sutherland, and I felt spoiled, because here I am sitting watching basketball. I'm in a room with Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Roy Williams, Patrick Ewing. Like, it was crazy. So you were in Summer League. I want you to tell me and everybody watching and listening around the world, what was the experience like? And I also want to know, again, selfishly, should we bring back Orlando Pro Summer League and give me the week of 4th of July where I can see 10 to 12 teams and not have everything be in Vegas? No offense to Vegas. I just thought
Yeah,
it was good
sure.
to have more than one.
I mean, Summer League was it's just another showcase. You know what I mean? Like, it's throughout your life, you go through times where you always have to not reinvent per se, but reintroduce yourself to things. You know what I mean? So like you're in high school and then you go step by step. You go JV, you go varsity, then you want to be a varsity player, then you want to be the best player on your team. Then you go to college where you're the best guy. That was every guy on the team was the best guy on their team.
Yeah.
Then you got to reprove. You got to reprove yourself again. For me, it was just another stepping stone as far as reproving yourself. I loved it. I mean, I had a good time with it. I was out in Utah, which probably could have been better. I would have probably preferred to be in Orlando, but overall, I had a positive experience. You get the feeling of it becomes a business at that point. You really start to understand the business of the game when you start to get summer league and the numbers, and if the team even has spots for you got 12 guys. I mean, most of the time they don't have spots for the 4 guys, 5 guys, and if they do, based on the team before the year before, they're looking at veterans. Are they going to rely on a guy that's never played and a rookie guy, or are they going to bring in a veteran for whatever purpose, whatever sense of reason they may think they have a better chance by getting a veteran, be more successful the following year. So I would think it's you start to your senses start to go up more about as far as the business aspect of the game. Why not? Why not? They should have Orlando. We give you that chance, man. You deserve it. You deserve to go down there for a week. Go down to Orlando, enjoy that humidity. Stay away from that ocean. Stay away from that ocean, man. Stay away from that ocean. But yeah, man, sure, why not? Why not? You should have a chance to go down there, and like I said, you have the inside access to interview some of the guys that you either never have or you did before and you want to interview them again, or guys you just are looking forward to interviewing. You know what I mean? So yeah, why not, man? Just for you, I'm voting. I'm saying yes, Orlando. Bring it on back.
I love how it started with Sharks and it ended with Sharks. And that is not what you expected from Preston Shumpert this morning. Liverpool Warriors Boys Basketball head varsity coach. Preston, I could talk to you all day. I'm excited about what we have going on. I'm excited about heading over to Avicoli's and having you in the team, as we do every year with the Liverpool Warriors and with the programs throughout Liverpool High School. But today, this morning, was such an honor for me and for somebody that I've respected for a very long time. And this was cool. And I look forward to doing more of this and also getting some time. You and I, now that I know this, we'll have to go up to Heritage Hill Brew House together and hang out. Yeah. So we'll have to do that.
Man, appreciate, man. Like I said, everybody out there that's, watching or is going to watch it, appreciate the support, man. The love has always been great. Like I said, I'm always happy to come to Syracuse. My years here were some of the best of my life. Appreciate you, man. And yes, we're definitely looking forward to getting up and linking up and talking and sharing more stories, man. It's always fun, man. It's always love.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, Preston Shumpert, your new leader of Liverpool Warriors Varsity Boys Basketball, in good hands of Preston Shumpert here in the community. And Preston, as always, 2 things. Thank you for your time, and stay away from them Sharks.
Stay away with them Sharks, man. Appreciate you.
Take care. Have a good day.
Thanks.
See you. That coming from Preston Shumpert once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Stay away from them Sharks. And how fitting that Preston Shumpert is from Fort Walton Beach in Florida. And coming up next is the guy that you're used to having with us every Thursday, which is Papa Joe, also from North Florida, who will join us. And what did Preston and I talk about? The Jaguars. And what PJ and I are going to talk about? The Jaguars. It's funny how God connects things that I didn't even set up. So if you want to know, how does Wake Up Call have these awesome transitions? A lot of times, it's just God with the assist. And Preston knows all about assists. We'll take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. We'll be back after this. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying. In the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here inside of where sports meets life. And of course, you know, we are in the Heritage Hill studios, and Heritage Hill and Preston Shumpert. I mean, shout out to him for that love for Heritage Hill. That was not provoked. We were just talking about, talking about different things in the community, and he brought up Heritage Hill and his love for Heritage Hill and going out to the brew house. And of course, you can find that on 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey, New York, in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. You can also find Heritage Hill North, their newest location, which is right down the road from CNS, and it's where we do all of our CNS North Stars broadcasts. That is on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, right there at Sweetheart Corner. So make sure you head out to Heritage Hill today, and you know that there are multiple locations. Papa Joe here with us this morning. You're watching and listening on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So there's a lot of great stuff going on here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. An awesome conversation that we got to have this morning with Preston Shumpert. And coming off of that conversation with someone from the Panhandle, from Fort Walton Beach in Florida, we now stay in North Florida, I should say, and just travel east to speak with PJ. PJ here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. So let's bring in Papa Joe to talk on the Major League Baseball happenings as well as the Jaguars Stadium Approval. Papa Joe, how we doing?
Good morning, Daniel. Yes, it's quite balmy and hot down here, so we got your hot weather for a while. Hell, it'll be hot here till the end of September.
Yeah, you'll have the opportunity here to enjoy some heat. I know Syracuse, we've been dealing with it, and I love, oh, by the way, we just got a really nice message from Jerry. It says, Papa Joe and DT, a pair that a full house couldn't beat. I like that little play on words there for the card games and whatnot. So thank you for the positive message here. Jerry, I will defer that Papa Joe is my better half, and I'm excited to have the conversation here this morning. PJ, I'm going to jump right into it with you. Now that we are in a place where baseball is about to hit its midpoint, which is very hard to believe. I feel like we talk about the season starting, and then it's like 15 games in, and then all of a sudden we're 80 some odd games in, and they're taking a break for the All-Star break. So, I mean, it's insane to think how fast baseball moves, but it's definitely moving here in the latter part of June. And we are looking at the fact that in Major League Baseball, at the time that we're having this conversation here this morning, Major League Baseball teams are at that 82 game. The Yankees have played their 82 games here. We look at over 160 games per season, and the Major League Baseball season is something that goes on for a long time, but at the same time, it feels like it's short, right? There's 162 games in a Major League Baseball regular season. The Yankees have already played 82. Other teams are around 80 or, getting 81 in the case of the Tampa Bay Rays. So we're right here at the midpoint, and we have the opportunity of seeing the All-Star break. So, PJ, bring us into baseball. Where are teams at standings-wise and statistically as we have reached or will reach for some of these teams our midpoint here very soon?
Well, there's a lot of activity going on. It all has to do with, the All-Star break, of course, which is a lot of fun for people to watch, and the trade deadline, which is July 30th. There's a lot of movement and a lot of talk going around, and I'm on top of it almost every day. I like to listen to rumors here and there, but let me get started on things, and then we can talk about some moves I'd like to see made.
Yeah.
And American League East, we got the Yankees at 52-30. Baltimore 50-30. They're -1 back. Red Sox are 43-30, spent 8 back. The Red Sox are 8-2 the last 10 games, and they're making a move. But I told you last week about Baltimore. They're young. The young guns they're real, and the Yankees are tottering. The Yankees were 2-8 in the last 10 games. Not going to be good enough. Baltimore will not have those kind of ball games. Not at all. Baltimore is too good young-wise. They're too young to understand what they're doing. Let's put it that way. And they can play. In the Central Division, we got Cleveland lead at 51-27. Sensational team this year, led by Jose Ramirez. They're 7-3 their last 10 games. Minnesota's in second spot at 44-36, 8 games back. Kansas City, my favorite for that division, 44-38, 9 back. They're in a major slump. The last 20 games, they've been terrible. They're not hitting. They can't rely on Bobby Witt for everything. So we'll see where the trade bait comes up. In the West, we got Seattle at 46-37. Houston, that's another one of my teams I told you to watch out for. They're 40-40. They're 4.5 games back. They were 8-2 in their last 10 games. Texas is 37-43, 7.5 back. Houston, and no doubt, Houston will overtake Seattle. You heard it here first. Average-wise, we got Bobby Witt still leading at 311, hitting 311. Aaron Judge is hitting 309, very close to a Triple Crown year. He's leading in home runs with 30. He's got 77 RBIs. Ramirez from Cleveland's got 72. So Aaron Judge is on another spectacular season with hitting-wise, home run-wise, and RBI-wise. Love it. In the wins department, Seth Lugo from Kansas City is still ahead with 10 wins. His ERA is still tops at 2.29 per 9 innings. Saves, Emmanuel Class from Cleveland is far and away more than 25. Let's go to the National League. National League East, we got Philly at 53-27. Atlanta's really floundering again at 44-34. They can't seem to put it together. They're 8 games back. Now listen to this. The Mets are 39-39. They're 13 games back. They've been 8-2 in their last 10 games, and a couple of their guys are trade bait, and I'll get to that later on. In the Central Division, we got Milwaukee at 48-33. My Brewers are doing just fine. St. Louis is 41-38. They're 6 games back. Pittsburgh, 39-41, 13 games back. I don't think this division is going to get much better than that. There are some other teams in there, the Chicago Cubs maybe, and the Cincinnati Reds, that can make a move. But, after playing 80 games, you got to look at where you are realistically. And that's why teams look at your records and they say, hey, we're not going to do anything. Let's unload some of our top players in order to get some picks, and we'll start all over again next year. So that's the way the Central Division wraps up. In the West, we got L.A. at 51-31. San Diego, 44-41. They're 8.5 back. Arizona is 39-41. They're 11 games back. Los Angeles was 8-2 in their last 10 games. San Diego keeping pace at 7-3. Arizona, listen to me. Arizona has got to win at least 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 of the series that they're going to be playing in order to jump back into this thing. They can't afford not to win.
Yeah.
So their pitching has got to do better. Carroll's starting to hit a little bit, but he's still hitting on 220 or something. Not good enough. Average-wise, Ohtani is hitting 322, leading the league. Leading the league is 25 home runs. He's also got 61 RBIs. The only one better than that is Marcell Ozuna from Atlanta, got 64. And Bone from Philly's got 64. So, again, we're looking at another fantastic year put together by Ohtani. who was not mine last year, but is this year for most valuable player. So we have Judge and Ohtani in either league just putting it together. Wins, Ranger Suarez from Philadelphia and Chris Sale from Atlanta. I've got 10 wins each. Reynaldo Lopez from Atlanta is a 1.73 ERA, and Suarez is 2.01 ERA. Suarez is bobbled a little bit in the last couple starts. He's gotten hit pretty good, which is why his ERA is up over 2. Actually, his ERA was almost under 1. Saves Ryan Hensley from St. Louis. He got 28. Baltimore more than anyone else. I got some trade information to talk about, but we can do that later on or whatever. I got some things to talk about.
Yeah, well, one of the things I want to get to, PJ, before we get to the trades, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they have notorious. I mean, if you go back and you watch our shows this season for 2024 of the Major League Baseball season, if you go back and watch Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, you're going to see that we consistently have had conversations about Arizona being 2 games under 500. It happened week after week after week after week. Then they fell behind more, and now they're 2 games under 500. They keep this season being like right at almost being 500. When we look at their last series here, they split the series with the Mets 2-2. They beat the Giants in their series 2-1. They lost the series to the Padres 1-2. Yes. Pardon me. No, they split with the Padres 2-2. Pardon me on that. It was a 4-game series, 2-2. Then they won the series with the Angels 2-1. They won the series with the White Sox 3-1. They won the series against the Nationals 2-1. They lost the series to the Phillies 1-2, and they're playing the Twins today at 3:40 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a series tied 1-1. So, as much as they're 11 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West, if you look back at their recent history here, they didn't lose their series against the Mets. They won the series, like I said, against the Giants. They split the series with the Padres. They won against the Angels. They won against the White Sox. They won against the Nationals. The only series that they've lost of all these series that I just mentioned is to the Phillies 1-2. So even though they're 11 games behind the Dodgers, and even though we're still toying with this world that they've been living in of being 2 games under 500 from week to week to week to week, many weeks this season, they're winning their series or they're tying their series. They're only losing 1 series, which was to the Philadelphia Phillies, who are arguably one of the top 2 teams in baseball right now. So, I mean, on paper, in results, Arizona is handling their business from series to series. They just keep overall living in this world of being 2 games under 500. So, what do you understand about Arizona this year?
Well, they're not playing good enough for one thing, and they're in a tough division. But they proved last year that they could play ball with the better teams. I'm a little concerned about the hitting. Marte has been leading them for all season long, really, at 278. Lourdes Gurriel has been a stud at 260. He hits a lot of home runs, a lot of RBIs, 10 and 45. Corbin Carroll, I'm not surprised at the sophomore jinx on this kid. Baltimore went through it a couple times with their guys last year. He's hitting 260. It can't be that way. He's got to be more selective. I think he's back down in the middle of the lineup down where he can get some more at bats. Once he gets his confidence back, and remember, he's just a young player. I mean, he's not like he's 25 or 28 years old. These kids got egos, and they just get down. And you think about how many games you play. You're playing 162 game series. You play 35 games preseason. If you go to the after season, you play another 20 games. You're playing over 200 games.
Yeah.
And a young kid like that, he'll suck it up, but he's going to have to hit a lot better. And he's played just about all the games, I think. So I look for him to really come forward. The problem I've had with Arizona is pitching. Brandon Felt is not having a good. He's 3-6. His ERA is 4.45, and he was a stud last year. Can't do it. Zach Gallen, who was a stud last year, is only 5-4 this year. He's got a 3.12 ERA. That I can live with. Gallon's is a stud. Jordan Montgomery, who they signed for $75 million over 3 years, is 6-4. His ERA is 5.71. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Arizona. Pitching. Remember, I've always told you over the years, is you win pennants by pitching and defense, and they better pick it up.
Yeah, and that was the problem last year is they didn't have a pitcher for a Game 4. And, they would start out with Zach Allen. They would go to Merrill Kelly. And then from there, they would go to Brandon Pfaadt, who was a rookie last year, did a great job all the way up into the World Series. He struggled a bit there, but he's a rookie. And he had a good series, 2 good series before that, Dodgers and Phillies. And they didn't have a guy for Game 4. That's really what the issue was. They didn't have someone in rotation for that 4th game. And they were using kind of a mashup of a bunch of guys. Maybe use this guy for 3 innings, see how he does, see how this guy does. Maybe he's 1 inning, maybe he's 3, then we go to another, and then another, and another. It was like a bunch of just pitchers thrown together of are they going to use 5 pitchers, 7 pitchers, 3 pitchers, whatever it may be, and it wasn't working out. So they go and get a couple pitchers, and it's still been, like you said, an issue with pitching. You can't have when your ERA is over 3, are we in like 3.9 or is it 3.1 or is it 3.4? And once you get into 4 or 5 in an ERA, you're in a danger zone, and they're in a danger zone with that right now that they have to correct because, you bring in Montgomery, you bring in a guy from the Rangers who beat you, and he's struggling here. So hopefully he'll get on the better side of things. I do have some questions before we get into trades, PJ. One of my questions to you is, what's going on with Tampa? Now, I know last year they started off the season with Wander Franco, and there's a bunch of stuff off the field, and obviously that is something that needs to get figured out. My prayers to everybody involved. My hopes that everyone will be okay, safe and sound. I don't want to speak on things. I know a lot of people speak on things, but in the world we live in today, sometimes you're guilty until proven innocent. There's a lot of not great stuff that happened last year with Wander Franco, and he went from being one of the youngest prospects, having a huge potential career in baseball and probably a big contract coming up, to somebody who might never play the game again. So they had him at the beginning of the season, and they had him for a good portion of the season, and the team did really well. Well, obviously they don't have Wander now, and they've been struggling. What is going on with Tampa? Because they're 11.5 games behind the Yankees. They're 4th out of 5th in the AL East, but Tampa last year had Wander long enough, talent-wise, that when they lost him, they were already in a place where they're a playoff team. Now they don't start off the season with his bat. They don't have a guy like that necessarily that could fill in and be that bat. So is that essentially the problem, that they lost Wander and don't have anybody that has replaced him yet? I mean, is it as simple as that? Is it something else that Tampa just can't seem to really figure it out the end of last year all the way through this season, as they are 40-41? They don't have a bad record, but they are 4th place in the AL East.
Well, this is typical Tampa Bay. They just flounder, and then they start playing better at the end of the year. Somehow they squeak into the playoffs, and they cause a lot of problems. They just don't have the money to pay people. And unfortunately for Franco, I don't know what – I doubt that he'll play again. He'd probably go play in Mexico or something. There'd be no reason for anyone to pick that kid up at all. Look at Trevor Bauer had a domestic problem 4 years ago, and they threw him out for 270 games.
Yeah.
And they said, I'm not going to do this. So he goes over to Korea and plays over there. Now he's playing in the Mexican League. He's the best pitcher in the Mexican League. Why won't someone pick him up? Because of the baggage. I personally think that's enough, okay? The guy's been away for 4 years. He's a perennially tough pitcher every time he throws the ball. Someone will pick him up. It's going to, the ladies will be out there picketing, but someone ought to pick him up. That's a shame. But for the other kid, I doubt it. Look, Tampa's hitting is decent. Randy Arozarena It's one of my guys on my trading list. I don't look for Tampa Bay to keep him, mainly because they can get prospects for him, or maybe 2 or 3 good players to stack up. Tampa just doesn't. They're not gelling. It could be the manager. I don't know, but they're good. They're good sometimes, and they're not good sometimes. And I think that you go right to their pitching. I mean, Zach Littell is sort of leading things. He's only 2-5, and he's got a 4.17 ERA.
Yeah.
You got Aaron Shivali is 2-5, 5.25 ERA. Zach Elfin, who was their stud last year, is 3-5. This is a 4.20 ERA. And you can't win games like that. You can't win games 8-7 all the time. You got to win some ones that are 2-3 and 2-1 and 3-2 and things like that. So I think they've made their bet and they're going to have to lay in it.
Yeah.
Franco Kid, I don't anticipate him being back anytime soon. Not this year, certainly, and maybe not even next year. I don't even know if the kid's in jail anymore.
PJ, I gotta ask you this question. I know the Chicago White Sox have the worst record in baseball right now at 21-61, 32 games behind the Cleveland Guardians in the AL Central within division. Worst team in baseball record-wise of 30 Major League Baseball franchises. But my question to you is, are they truly the worst team? When you look at everybody, by record, Chicago White Sox are. But the Miami Marlins at 28-52, 25 games away from the first place Phillies in the NL East. And the Colorado Rockies 27-53, 23 games out of first place where the Dodgers are in the NL West. Do you think the Chicago White Sox are the current worst franchise overall? Or could you argue that the Rockies and the Marlins are in a worse place as a franchise?
That's a good question. I would lump all 3 of them together. But Chicago has some serious problems. They don't hit, for one thing. They don't have a player that's hitting 300. That shows you how poor they are. They got one guy, Paul DeJong, who's going to be a trade bait. He's a terrific young player. Got 14 homers, 30 RBIs. He's only hitting 236. I mean, someone's going to trade for him. That's for sure. Pitching wise, they're not that bad, but they're not that good. Eric Feldy is 5-3, 3.23 ERA. Garrett Crochet, who is another one of my trade bait guys, is 6-6 with a 3.05 ERA. That kid's going to be gone. That's for sure. Young pitchers like him are not going to stay around in a poor team, because the team looks at that and they say, look, this kid we got, he's valuable, he's trade bait. Let's get 2 or 3 players for him and go from there. DeJong won't be around, and neither will Crochet be around for Chicago.
Yeah, and that's when we look at this, like you talked about, you have a bunch of guys on trade bait, and I want to jump into that because I know that you have a list here as we are approaching the trade deadline for Major League Baseball, getting closer and closer to that trade deadline. And for those of you that don't know when the trade deadline is going to be this year, I want to let you know that Major League Baseball is the trade deadline for Major League Baseball is going to be on July 30th is the trade deadline. So there's going to be some interesting things happening or could happen, and it's great to kind of look at the thought process here. Major League Baseball, once again, July 30th is the trade deadline. So we are, at the time that we're talking, it's June 27th. So we have a little over a month between today and the trade deadline to see what is going to happen here for Major League Baseball. There's been players brought up over time. There's been the conversation of what should the Mets do with their season. So there could be some shakeup and some movement around here. PJ, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I know you got a list of guys that are on your potential trade movement here on the trade block. So what do you have for us as potential moves that can happen between now and July 30th?
There's a lot of play out there. There are some areas that I'd like to look at, specifically the Mets. Pete Alonso has been talked about in trades for a couple of years now, with the Mets floundering. Although the Mets have come through and they said 8-2 in the last 10 games, they're starting to hit the ball better. I like Alonso to go to the Yankees. I think that Alonso is going to move, but I'm thinking that the Yankees need him. With Rizzo being out, they need a first baseman. They need a slugger. Judge can't carry the team. Soto is a hit and miss kind of guy. He's a good player, great player. But, Volpe is playing great at shortstop. But he's an average hitter. He's not a home run hitter. So they need another bopper in the lineup. And I'm thinking that Alonso would fit that bill real good. Now, I don't know what would happen. I don't know what prospects that the Yankees would give them. That has to be hashed out. But there'll be a lot of talk from now until the All-Star break for sure. And then right after that is when the trade deadline comes in. I got a couple of kids from I like J.D. Martinez, also from the Mets. I like him to go to Kansas City. Kansas City's looking for another stick. They've been in a terrible slump, as I mentioned earlier. Bobby Witt can't carry it all. Martinez, I think, will leave the Mets and perhaps go to Kansas City or anywhere. He's a big stick, been around for years, a veteran player, a great player, really. I love the guy. And there's another guy that I like going to Kansas City, and that's Jazz Chisholm from Miami. You mentioned him as one of the teams that are not doing very well, and they certainly aren't. And when they have two really good trade prospects. Chisholm is one of them. He leads off most of the time. He's fast, really fast. Plays a mean center field. Does it all. He doesn't hit for average too well, but he's a good player. The other guy I like on Miami is Josh Bell. Josh Bell used to be with Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and then Washington, and somehow he got moved around. And Josh Bell is a switch hitter slugger, and he plays first base. He's a beast. He's 6'5", 240, switch hitter, 240-pound guy, and he's languishing right now. He's not doing very well. But if he were to be put in the right position on the right team, I look for him to produce. I love Josh Bell in this situation, and I think that someone will grab him. We talked about Chicago White Sox earlier, how poor they are. Yeah. Well, they got a couple of really good players. I told you one of them is Paul DeJong, terrific young player, and I look for him. I look for him to go, and I think there's a good spot for him at Cleveland. Cleveland does well with Ramirez. Ramirez does most of the work with home runs and RBIs, and I think that DeJong would be advantageous for them. Tampa Bay, you heard me say Randy Arizonado is going to be gone. He's great trade bait. I mean, let's face it. I mean, they're going to get whoever trades for him is going to get three really good players. And I look for Arizona to go to L.A., the Dodgers. They're always looking for hitting until their pitching comes around all the way around with Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw. I think they need another big bat. That's what I would think would be a good spot for him. There's a kid from Oakland called Rooker, another sensational young player, hits a lot of home runs, RBIs, plays a mean defense. I like him to go to either St. Louis or Kansas City. St. Louis has got to make some noise in that Central Division to get up into their first spot. Right now, they don't have it all. Adding Rooker would help. Now, Rooker would be, in my opinion, be better off at Kansas City. Kansas City needs hitters. They need some hitters. This is why I propose Rooker. There's when I was going through yesterday, tagging things here and there, and writing stuff down and everything. I came across a real cute story, and this is funny. There's a player in the Phillies organization named Dave Dahl. He's in the minor leagues right now. He's a teammate of Bryce Harper. He has a story that he told when he was a young kid. He was only 11 years old, Harper was 12 at the time. They were playing in a Huntsville, Alabama tournament. And as I said, Dow was 11, Harper was 12. In that series, Harper was 12 for 12 with 11 home runs at 12 years old. That's why we saw him on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16 years old. He got a GED through. Then he went to a community college for 1 year, and then went to the majors in 19. Hell of a story. When a 12-year-old kid can hit 11 home runs out of 12 at bats. Let me see here. Chicago White Sox have got another good slugger that I look to move to. That's Luis Robert. He's been around a couple years for Chicago. Does a good job for them. Probably their best hitter. Again, where is Chicago going? They're not going anywhere. So if they can send Robert for 2 or 3 prospects, do it. Garrett Crochet is a pitcher. He's been great. He's been really good for a poor team. Again, Chicago is looking at this and they're saying, if I can get rid of these 2 guys and get maybe 6 really good players or 6 prospects, I'll start all over again next year. And that's the way you figure it out, Daniel. Next week I'll probably have something else too. There's always talk going on.
Yeah.
It always has to do with really good players on poor teams. And if a player on a poor team can be traded to a good team and they get good prospects for it, it's okay.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, these teams that are struggling, if they have those players to potentially move and they want to get, prospects for the future and whatnot, it's all about, I mean, I think what it comes down to is sometimes a team will see what's going on and say, okay, right now we got this amazing player and we want you to have the opportunity to have a good career. We want you to have the opportunity to win. And there's a selfless move in letting that person go in the hopes that they can go do what they want to do as opposed to holding on for dear life. I mean, look at the Angels. They held on to Shohei Ohtani. They got nothing for him. But another team might say, hey, you know what? Selflessly, we want you to go and do what you want to do, and we're going to send you to a place where you want to be because we know you're not getting what you need here. And then selfishly, but we're going to get back as much as we possibly can to build for the future. So I think that, I mean, there's some names that you throw around here. Pete Alonso's name's been thrown a lot around these past few weeks. And with Alonso, here's my thing with the Mets, right? They bring in a couple pitchers and over the last couple seasons. And they bring them in and they let go of them. They have them for like a hot second and those guys are gone. And when you bring in the talented pitchers and then you let them go, I think that, for me, you bring in Max Scherzer for, a hop, a skip, and a jump, and then he's gone. And when you let a guy like Scherzer go, I mean, he had good moments. He also had, troubling moments. And, Jacob deGrom, he had been with them. He went through injury, and then he ends up leaving. And you just see the Mets just like they grab a pitcher over these last couple seasons. They have somebody, they let in, and they bring in like a name, and then they let that name go. And then you have a guy like deGrom who shows a lot of promise and could have set a record for ERA in a season, but then you let a guy like him go when he's going through injury and whatnot. And now the Mets are in a place of, do you let one of your bats go and Pete Alonso? But what is the plan? I guess the thing that I ask you, PJ, is what is the plan for the Mets? Because there's some people that are sitting here going, all right, Juan Soto is with the Yankees, and he's doing well with the Yankees, and he's on a 1-year contract. They're basically leasing him. But I would be surprised if the Yankees don't extend him and put him into, a long-term contract and have him be with Aaron Judge for the coming years and try and see what they can do this season as well as beyond this season. But there are some Mets fans that are going like, no, Juan Soto's already in New York. We're just going to move him from the Bronx to Queens, and we're going to bring him over to the New York Mets. What is the plan? I mean, if you were looking at the Mets right now, What do you think the plan is? Because you bring in high-profile pitchers and you let them go. And you got a high-profile guy who's a diamond in the rough at Jacob deGrom, and you let him go. And now you got Pete Alonso, and he's the face of the franchise, arguably. So if you let him go, is there a hope of getting Juan Soto? I don't think there is, but I'd love to get your thoughts on where do the Mets go from here? Do they have a yard sale beyond the yard sale they've already had over the last 2 or 3 years and just build up prospects and go through the draft and just hope that they can make it happen? Do they go crazy now before the trade deadline and try and bring in a bunch of people and pay a bunch of money? What do you think the Mets' plan is?
Well, I think they still have to try to win because they're not in bad shape. They're probably going to come really close to maybe a wild card. I guess it all depends on what happens after the holidays and after the trade deadline. One thing that maybe most people don't understand is when teams are trading for a star, quote unquote, a star or a regular player, a lot of times they're in the last year of their contract, and the team that's trading him is going to get value, and the team that's going to get the guy is only going to get the guy for the 1 year.
Yeah.
Now that means that you've got to try to sign him over the winter, or he's going to take off if he's an unrestricted free agent, and that's the problem. They're just look at baseball players are not guaranteed any money. It's not like football. Football, you're guaranteed. You're guaranteed something. Baseball players are not. You got to win. You got to play and win and earn. That's the way it is. I mean, just because you got to look at Mike Trout. I mean, most of his money is going to be there, but he's not playing. Now, he's also making a hell of a lot of money just sitting around rehabbing. But most of the teams don't have the value that they want to get out of these players, or they wouldn't let them go, or they wouldn't trade for them. In our case, Martinez has been around for years with the Mets. A good player. No reason why they couldn't keep him. None at all. Alonso's another a really good player. No reason why they don't want to keep him either. But those two guys they're the hitting in that team. And if some team is looking for more hitting or something like the Yankees or Kansas City or someone like that, they're going to go after Alonso. Now, Alonso's probably in the last year of his contract. I don't know that for sure, but he probably is. And then you're stuck. And then you got to go overboard to try to sign the guy, or next year you don't have him at all. So, just because you trade and get a guy for 50 games this season doesn't mean he's going to be there for his career.
Yeah, and I think that for me, I just wonder. We look at the Mets right now and we say, okay, they're third place in the NL East. The Phillies are the Phillies, and they continue to win. The Braves are 8 games back. The Mets are 13 games back, but the Mets are exactly 500. They're 39-39. So the question that I ask myself, if I'm the Mets, I mean, why would I let Pete Alonso go when I know that I have a chance of, like you said, making the postseason? And he allegedly turned down an extension in recent history. So maybe he's made clear at the end of the season, I don't want to be a Met anymore. So, I mean, if that's the case, and again, I'm just hypothetically speaking, if turning down the deal to the Mets was his way of saying, I don't want to be a Met anymore, then if I'm the Mets, I don't do what the Angels did with Shohei Ohtani and just hold on to him for dear life, knowing that he's going to leave. I would trade him and get something for him. So between now and July 30th, if Pete Alonso does not want to be a Met in his future, and that's why he didn't sign the extension, then the Mets should trade him, even though they have a chance of making the postseason, because if they don't trade him, then he's just going to leave anyways, and they're not going to get anything for him, like Ohtani and the Angels. If there's a chance that he will stay, and he turned down that deal because he just wants a better one with the Mets, well, then we're having a conversation. But if this is a situation where Pete Alonso said, like it or not, no matter what, you got me this year and that's it, well, then I'm trading him because I'm not going to let him go for free.
Well, that's true. Now, I'm looking at the Mets here. You asked me a question about what they might do.
Yeah.
None of the regular players, actually going 15 deep, are hitting 300. That's a problem. when you're, let me see, they're 13 games back. They're 8-2 the last 10 games. 13 games back against Philadelphia in that division. They'll be very, very lucky to even sniff a wild card with Atlanta in there. So if I'm New York and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, I don't have any 300 hitters anyway, so I'm going to do something. Brandon Nemo's been a great player for them. He's got 12 home runs, 46 RBIs. He's only hitting 242. It's okay to hit home runs and get RBIs. But as you can see by the really, really, really good players like Ohtani and Judge, they're hitting over 300. They hit singles and doubles just as well as they hit home runs. So if New York would be looking for something, Daniel, and I look for both of these guys to go.
Yeah, so we shall see what we're going to see. I would anticipate, in my opinion, when we talk about the Yankees, that Juan Soto is going to find an extension with the New York Yankees. We're going to extend ourselves a little bit past 11 as PJ and I have the Jaguars to talk about in their Stadium of the Future. An announcement has been made this week. Am I surprised? No. We will discuss it right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Stay with us. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, on Thursdays, you know that is Papa Joe's time here between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we always appreciate having PJ on the broadcast, talking about baseball here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. And we're going to switch fields and head off to the football side of things. Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium of the Future is what they're calling it. And they got an approval from the powers that be initially. So the Jaguars said, hey, this is what we want to do. The city said, this is what we want to do. Back and forth talking about it as far as the city council, which was the next step. So there was a conversation about, okay, this is what we're looking to do. And then from there, you're going through this process. So you look at the fact of the mayor in Jacksonville getting behind this thing and looking at the Donna Deegan making her statement of approval. And, of course, Shad Khan and the Jaguars having their stamp of approval. So after the mayor and the Jaguars franchise agreed to move forward, after that comes the city council. Well, the city council has voted, and the statement from the city council vote is this. Quote, we're excited that the city council has approved this historic agreement that will keep the Jaguars in Jacksonville for decades to come, enhance the fan experience for NFL and non-NFL events, and provide a springboard for downtown growth, starting with the completion of world-class riverfront parks. The other portions of the community benefits agreement represent a once-in-a-generation opportunity to improve the quality of life for citizens across Jacksonville. We remain committed to working with the city council to pass those pieces of the package when they return in July. So the city council, the statement from the Jaguars is they've approved us. So now it goes to the NFL. And now they need a majority of NFL franchises to agree. I think it's 24 of 32 have to agree, and 23 essentially, because the Jaguars are going to agree on their own plan. So mayor says, yeah, the Jaguars say we want to do this. Mayor Donna Deegan says yes. City council has now said yes, which means we are moving forward with this project, which is being called the Stadium of the Future, and of course other things to come with it with Jacksonville. And we've already seen things happen with Jacksonville because the Jacksonville Jaguars have already put themselves in a position where they've had this growth, right? They built Daly's Place, which is connected to Everbank Stadium, and it was open. Now it's enclosed. They could do concerts there, a bunch of events there. They can have watch parties there. So the Jaguars already built Daly's Place, and I've seen that evolution. I've seen the evolution of the highway system and the changes to that system from being in Jacksonville for the better part of the last 13 years, going on 14, God willing. So I've seen the roads change. I've seen the area change in like what's going up. They have flatland areas that they're going to be building hotels. They're going to be building apartments right there by the stadium. So there's a lot of things happening in Jacksonville. Plus, they've already evolved within the stadium with the video boards that they brought in a few years back and different things that they've made to retool. They've changed up what it looks like in the weight room. They've changed up the hallways. They've changed up what's on the walls. So being there for over a decade, I've seen the things that have changed in Jacksonville. That's why I laughed when people said, oh, well, they're obviously moving to London and they're going to be the first franchise overseas for the NFL. And I said, no, they're not. And people said, why? And I said, because they spent $60 million on stadium upgrades and they're changing what it looks like on the water and they're building Daly's Place and they're doing this and moving this and changing this and getting rid of that and adding this. So on top of everything that I've already seen, the Stadium of the Future is now been approved from the city council. So now we go to the NFL, PJ, and the NFL at their meetings this year, I believe in the fall, will be voting on if they agree. And if the NFL agrees to move forward with this, if the majority of franchises agree to move forward with Jaguars Stadium of the Future plan, that's the last step. So the Jaguars building up the plan, I should say, the Jaguars putting the plan together and saying, this is what we want. And then Mayor of Jacksonville, Donna Deegan, saying, I'm good with it. And then the city council saying, we're good with it. The last step now is for the NFL's majority to say, we're good with it. And if that happens, then this stadium that we've been talking about and looking at is going to be a real thing. It's going to be put into fruition. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to get a total renovation of what people know their stadium to be. What are your thoughts?
Oh boy, Gator Bowl won't be the same, I guess.
Yeah.
I have some concerns, obviously. I mean, I live down here, and I hate to go to Jacksonville, mainly because the streets are so lousy. The infrastructure of Jacksonville is terrible. It's almost like you put Jacksonville in the Midwest, one of those states where you got 6 inches of snow 6 months out of the year. It's not supposed to happen down here. Dick it. I don't want to sound like I'm queering the deal because I do like the deal and I'm happy for Don. But let's face it. I mean, with the threat of leaving Jacksonville, all you got to do is put that out there. Everyone panics. Oh, God, we can't have time until he's going to go. Da, 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 da. So they come up with this deal. So $775 million. They're going to put in this thing, and somehow that's got to be paid for. And like I said before, the infrastructure of Jacksonville, the bridges especially, are not good enough. Jacksonville is a southern town that's increasing with population every year, as is St. Augustine. The roads always got to be maintained, and they're not being maintained enough. So I'm looking at the 19 people that voted. They voted 14, 1 and 2 with 2 abstentions. I'd like to know what the one that didn't like it or the 2 that didn't like it either, what their thoughts were. But I have a problem. I have a problem with putting that much money into an existing structure that the Jaguars don't own. Remember, Jaguars do not own that stadium. The city does. So we're padding the pad for Klein here. He's going to have to put in some money. I know that. He's aware of that doing. But there's plenty of other bucket lists that need to be done in Jacksonville, along with trying to build a turn-of-the-century stadium. That's what you want to call it. Daniel, I just asked some questions about it. I do really have some concerns.
Yeah, well, and I know some of the thoughts too here, and I know it doesn't affect you per se because you're not in Jacksonville specifically, but when the city says we're going to accept this amount of money, and the Jaguars as an organization, Shad Khan says I'm going to accept this amount, when you break it all down, what are the taxpayers going to pay? When the city of Jacksonville is accepting a certain amount of this expense, how much of that falls on the taxpayers? It's a $1.4 billion renovation. So with that being said, I think that's when you say you have some concerns, is that one of your concerns that the people of Duval County, the people of Jacksonville are going to have to assume some of the responsibility if the city is, that'll trickle down to them? Is that one of your concerns?
It is, and I think that they're putting this this project, they're going to move it forward, certainly, quickly. And what I want to see done, as a North Florida resident up here, is I want to see the infrastructure of Jacksonville, come up to play here, come up to par. The Jacksonville East side is awful, and that's where the stadium is. So, I don't know. I guess there's other areas that need to be spent too, other than the stadium. I would like to see that perhaps maybe being done in conjunction with the stadium being built.
Yeah.
Now, it's going to be a couple of years before we even see what this thing looks like and what the traffic pattern is going to look like. Where are they going to play? Right now, it looks like they're going to be playing home in 2025. They're going to have a reduced crowd in 26, and either in Gainesville or Orlando in 27. So we're going to be until 28 before we can see this thing. Hell, I might not even be here, for crying out loud. But I have concerns with a lot of monies that need to be spent in other areas of Jacksonville and Duval County other than the stadium.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that, people wouldn't know if people aren't there. And the reality of it all is that, and I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense of, I'm excited about the stadium. I am excited about the stadium. I don't want people in Jacksonville, the taxpayers, to suffer, because it always trickles down to the taxpayers. And I don't agree with certain things that happen in that world of putting things on other people, and especially when they're not voting on this stuff. And I think I'm excited about the stadium. It's very important that the stadium, the translucent covering, which they said is essentially going to be like wearing sunglasses to create some shading, that's incredibly important, because when they say, oh, Jacksonville doesn't have a lot of people that come to the games, well, part of that reason could be the fact that they're standing in the dead heat in the sun with no covering in 90-degree weather, and they're trying to not pass out. So, it's hard to enjoy something when you're standing for over 3 hours in the sun, not moving. And so I think that, there's some, that part of it definitely needs to be done. But to your point about the city of Jacksonville, I've obviously been there and I've spent a lot of time there. And we know that recently there's been some violence there. And I know there's violence in every city. People talk about that. But, these stadiums are built in places. The Amway Center is no different. The Amway Center in Orlando, in downtown Orlando, if you go a second down the road, it's not a good part of town. And when people say, well, why do they build these arenas and these stadiums in these bad parts of town? Because it's probably cheaper, right? You think about the housing that's there. You think about the fact that it's not the safest area. So when you look at Jacksonville as a city and you look at some of the issues that have been had, and I've driven on those streets, the streets get easily packed. The streets get easily busy. You are easily in traffic. And it's not the easiest thing to do when you're trying to get to your parking lot in the stadium, because there's so many different parking lots. When you're trying to get to your parking lot, you have to sometimes go all the way around and through all of this traffic just to get to your parking lot the way you want to. So as far as the traffic patterns work downtown, it's still not great. And when you look at the safety and you look at the area itself, there's things that you wish were better. So, Jacksonville, the stadium itself, right by the water, the bridges that lead into it, they're beautiful. And what Jacksonville has done right there by the water is beautiful. But like so many stadiums and arenas in America, it is surrounded by not great parts of town. It is surrounded by stuff that you don't want to have to walk to your car to when it's dark outside. And I think Jacksonville is not the only city dealing with that. I think a lot of cities are dealing with that. But it's something that you have to think about, PJ. I think building the apartments and the hotels and stuff is good, but you're building apartments and hotels down the street from areas that are still not great areas.
All right, well, I'm going to bring something to your attention, of course, and the attention of our listeners. Jacksonville years ago, when they wanted to do something, what you're talking about, not in conjunction with the Gator Bowl, but something to dress up downtown. They built the landing. And the landing was just right along the water, a bunch of shops, restaurants, supposed to be the place to go. And there were several of them there. And slowly but surely, because of the problems that Jacksonville has with crime and stuff, the restaurants closed, and the shops closed, and the landing closed. So whatever Schott is trying to figure, I wouldn't suggest that he use the outline that they used for the landing. Do something different, because the landing didn't work. You can't go safe to Jacksonville along the landing. Now, Mary and I go to a lot of concerts in an area called the Florida Theater. It's a fabulous place. It's a turn-of-the-century architectural marvel. It's old, it's great, and it's in a crappy part of town. And you don't even want to walk down the street. You don't even want to park your car and walk across the street to the Florida Theater. Thank goodness there's police there all the time. So that's what I'm saying, that there's other areas in Jacksonville that need to be brought up to par, not only the stadium.
Yeah, no, I agree. So hopefully, things will be done here. But ultimately, I'm excited about the look of it. I'm excited about what this can mean for everybody. And I'm excited to see where we go from here. PJ, really quick here, one of our polls just came in that finished up from last week. If you had the choice, which one of these four golfers would you choose right now to have the best opportunity to win a championship? Would it be Xander Schauffele? Would it be Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau, or Scotty Scheffler? 8% of you picked Bryson. This is all on X, the former Twitter. Make sure you follow us at CallDT. That's CALLDT. And once you follow me there, you can vote in our polls every week. We try to put something up, or every other week at least. So 8% of you voted for Bryson. 20% of you voted for Xander. 28% of you voted for Rory. And I think as expected, the majority voted for Scotty Scheffler at 44%. Your thoughts on that, PJ?
Scheffler is playing the best of anyone in the world and has done for 3 years. He's playing a stretch of golf that was only rivaled by what Tiger was doing when he was good. And that was just a long time ago, 15 years ago at least. Golf is a very fickle game, and you can get on streaks. You can read the greens real good one year, and the next year you can't read anything. And the one year you're hitting your irons real good, and next year you can't do anything. So even though he's in a hell of a streak, he's won 6 times already this year, and I look for him to continue that. He can pick and choose his tournaments. He's already made his year. So I'm upset that DeChambeau is not going to be included in the Paris golf deal. I know that Wyndham Clark is a real good young player. He won the U.S. Open 2 years ago, and he's the one that beat out DeChambeau. But DeChambeau is playing across the pond in the LIV Tour, so apparently the powers to be in the golf gods here didn't think that DeChambeau was good enough, quote unquote, to play for our country. Forget about that. DeChambeau is good enough for anyone. So I was upset that he wasn't included in that, because it's just the LIV and the PGA are going to have this pissing contest until they're blue in the face, and then they're going to figure out, like I always tell you, put some pizza and a jug of water in a conference room, and you ain't leaving until you get a deal. Yeah. So let's hope that the powers that be of golf can do that.
Yeah, that's coming from Papa Joe. Talk about baseball today as we head toward the All-Star break. Talk about the Jaguars Stadium of the future and some things to hopefully figure out on the way there. And, of course, to get into our poll about the fact that most of you would play with Scotty Scheffler right now if you had the choice between him, Xander Schauffele, as well as Rory McIlroy and Bryson DeChambeau. With that being said, PJ, I appreciate your time as always. I look forward to talking with you soon. And, I think this is how it should be. I think that we should all be part owners in the Jaguars. This is how I think they should do it. Whoever the taxpayers are that have to pay in order for this stadium to happen, they should get, so like if they go to a certain percent, there should be something where like they get to do something. Either, that there should be like if you donate, how do I want to say this? If you're a taxpayer and you're paying for this stadium in the future, I think that they should do like maybe things on the ground or something like that. Either have a mural standing up or have pavers on the ground where everybody that gives money as a taxpayer gets included there in like the parking lot outside of the new stadium where their name gets put there or their family name gets put there. And if you give more money on top of it, like if you make a donation, then you should be up to a certain percentage. You should be like given a little bit of ownership because the Green Bay Packers opened up ownership and anybody could join it. So the Jaguars should do something. The city of Jacksonville should do something. If you're going to put it on the taxpayers, the least you can do is have some type of recognition wall or recognition stairs or recognition something, pavers, where you could put the names of the people that helped to make this possible, because so many times the taxpayers are asked to do something that they're never given credit for and they're never thanked for. So I think at the very least, if the city of Jacksonville is going to back the Jaguars being there for the future, then the Jaguars and the city of Jacksonville can thank the taxpayers for doing that.
Okay, bud.
That coming from PJ. We'll talk with you soon, Papa Joe.
Bye-bye.
Take care. That coming here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And I want to be clear about this. Like, I'm really excited about the stadium. I know PJ's got a lot of questions, and obviously he wants the Jaguars to stay in Jacksonville, as do I. But I want to be very clear that I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the stadium in the future. I'm excited about what it means. I just want to make sure that there's good plans in place for the benefit of the people that live in Duval County. I want to make sure that because we don't think about that, right? When you see these moves and you see these decisions being done and you see, shiny pictures and whatnot, it's all well and good. But the reality, think about it. We saw all these shiny pictures for Destiny USA in my hometown of Syracuse, New York. And did any of those shiny pictures come to fruition? Not really. The beautiful all glass towers, they never happened. And most of the renditions of what they said it was going to look like, it doesn't even look anything close to it. They're making like these beautiful, immaculate buildings of the future, and Syracuse, New York got 0% of those buildings. They got a hotel that is right outside of it that doesn't look anything like the pictures, and they got an extension built onto the mall that doesn't look anything like the pictures. So ultimately, those initial pictures. So ultimately, everything looks good on paper, but it's about what you put into action. And safety at the mall has been, so I'm using this as an example. Carousel Mall in my hometown of Syracuse, New York becomes Destiny USA. A lot of people that went to Carousel Mall don't go to Destiny USA anymore. I shouldn't say a lot of people. The people that I speak with, they don't go to Destiny USA anymore. They used to go to Carousel Mall. They don't go to Destiny USA. So as the mall expanded to be one of the biggest malls in America, people stopped going. Why? Because they don't feel safe. Because crime has gone up in the mall. Safety is different in the mall now. There's people slashing. There was one time where people just picking random parking lots, slashing random tires of random cars. So people weren't going to the mall because they didn't feel safe. Jim Boeheim's wife, Julie Boeheim, was held up at gunpoint at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on like a Tuesday at the mall at Destiny USA. So they promise us it's going to look like this, and it doesn't look like that. They talk about how great it's going to be, but people stop going because they don't feel safe. And so safety is an issue. Being promised something that it doesn't look like at all is an issue. And has it made the city better? Do people feel safer in the city? Has it improved the infrastructure around the area? I guess you could say to a certain extent the Inner Harbor is totally different now. But ultimately, the changing of Carousel Mall into Destiny USA isn't what they promised us it was going to be. And even if it is a nice place and even if it is fun to go to, people don't feel necessarily safe when they go to Destiny USA, and probably felt a little bit safer with Carousel Mall, right? So that's an issue. So when we talk about the Stadium of the Future in Jacksonville, I'm excited for the Stadium of the Future. I'm excited to see the Jaguars' improvements, but I also am looking at this saying, I don't want this to become a Destiny USA thing where it doesn't look like what they promised us, number one, and number two, it doesn't make people feel safer and it doesn't really improve the community at all. So that's the big thing, is improving the community. Because the things that we don't talk about enough is it improving the lives of the people living there? Is it improving the community? Is it building a safer and more livable area? And on top of all of that, what is the burden on the taxpayer? Can they afford it? And is it fair? That's what we look to. You know what I mean? Because the shiny pictures, great. Jaguars staying in Jacksonville, great. You know, I love this franchise. And I respect a lot of people in it over time. And I want this to work. But it has to... My hope is that Shad Khan and Donna Deegan and all of the powers that be that are making decisions for the masses, that they do right by the masses, because that's not always the case. And I'm not going to hold Shad Khan and Donna Deegan responsible for other people making promises that they didn't keep, other owners and other politicians. I just want Duval County and the city of Jacksonville and the Jaguars to win together, to grow together, to advance together. And I want people to feel safe. I want the money to be fair. I don't want taxpayers' burdens to be enlarged, because that's not fair to anybody. And I want promises to be kept. And like I said, I'm not going to hold Shad Khan or Donna Deegan or anybody responsible for promises in other places that weren't kept. I'm just saying a cautionary tale of this is it all sounds good and it looks cool and it's exciting. But I want Jacksonville and the Jaguars to be the difference, to do right by the community, do right by the people, make decisions that are good for as many as it possibly can be, and to find a way to create an experience that doesn't just benefit some, but benefits the majority and helps the community to grow, the community to be safer, cleaner, better, and for many to progress and many to excel, and not the few. With that being said, we'll take a step aside for a fast break inside of the Heritage Hill Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the tastes of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is open 7 days a week. You can find GG Cards and Breaks Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. And I suggest you go in there. If you've never collected cards before, it's a great place to go. If you've been collecting cards all your life, it's a great place to go. I'm going to tell you why. It's because of the people. That's what it always comes down to. People want to do business with people that they like, people that they respect, people that they can trust, people that they enjoy being around. And when it comes to GG Cards and Breaks, when it comes to being kind, when it comes to being informative, when it comes to trying to find the best products out there for the people that come through, the attention to detail, the amount of work put in, it all screams GG Cards and Breaks. And it starts with Josh and Anthony, and throughout the team, it's different. It's different in a good way. When I walk into GG Cards and Breaks, I always want to buy something. Not only because they have great singles and packs and boxes and graded cards, but because I like the way I'm treated when I'm there. I like the fact that they have a lot of variety. I like that things are constantly evolving, and you never know what you're going to find. You can go in on Monday and then walk back in on Tuesday, and there's a card there that they didn't have the day before, and it's one that you want. They're also the only place I know that has every Major League Baseball, National Football League, and National Basketball Association team. Nobody does that. Takes a ton of work, ton of time, ton of preparation, but they do it for us. So head to GG Cards and Breaks today. Whether you're looking for sports cards, Disney Lorcana, Magic, Pokemon, they're there while supplies last. And you build memories. What I was doing at 9 years old, little kid, collecting cards, my mom, my grandmothers, bringing me over to a place. And now, almost 30 years later, I'm still collecting cards. And I have the blessing to do it with my mom, to go back and you know, to not have to just look back and relive those memories, but to make new ones. And when you make those new memories, GG Cards and Breaks is the perfect place to do it. It's a place that bonds community and positivity with attention to detail, excitement, the spirit of a big kid, and a whole lot of great things to open up and see what you get. GG Cards and Breaks is the difference. And you'll find them on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, 7 days a week. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I appreciate you so very much for being with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time in the Heritage Hill Studios. YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT. On WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com as well. Worldwide, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, if not longer, because we more than consistently go over 11 a.m. pretty much daily. And you can check out the show. Once we go live, you can check out in the archives and find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, and others. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. While you're there, click subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a live broadcast, or you never miss one of our broadcasts again. So make sure you hit subscribe, hit follow, whatever it is on there, make sure you do that. And the notification bell, of course, on YouTube, you can do that as well. You could visit our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York, all throughout the state of New York. Heritage Hill Brewhouse and Heritage Hill North. You could visit Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, where we will be tonight, June 27th, at 6 p.m., celebrating a Section 3 Class AA champion Wildcat baseball team of West Genesee. The team's first championship in sectionals in 47 years. Super happy for them. Can't wait to celebrate at the Wildcat tonight, June 27th at 6 p.m. So come out and see us. GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world. Make sure you go out and see them. And, of course, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, and Mother's Cupboard. Of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. You'll find your Dolphins Wednesdays during Dolphin Time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have our specials, AD and DT, and the Dolphin Dive, coming to you with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. And you can find everything by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also find the Lemoyne playlist there as well. You can find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to lemoynedolphins.com. And as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Throughout the year, you'll hear from men's and women's soccer, which have each won at least one national championship. That is national championship. Big time shout out to multi-time national champion men's soccer at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. And recently, women's soccer joined with their own national championship. Men's and women's basketball that have both been to the national tournament. And, of course, a big-time shout-out as we step into year 3 with the Bryan and Stratton Syracuse baseball team. And, of course, the come-up of the esports program at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. They have 2 locations. You can find them on James Street in Syracuse, New York. You can also find them on right off of Route 57 in Liverpool, right across the street from Avicoli's. So you know that you're going to be getting some great food while you're there at the Liverpool campus for Bryan and Stratton of Syracuse. Find them on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Make sure you click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course, you can also find the BSC Syracuse playlist on our YouTube channel. The Bobcats are on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every single week on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We call it Bearcat Time here on Wake Up Call. You will find your Bearcats with you weekly. And, of course, our monthly specials, Moments with Marshall, featuring Gene Marshall, the athletics director at Binghamton University, and the Bearcat Break Room with student athletes, coaches, and administration joining us throughout the year of the many programs at Binghamton University. You can find all this content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton University playlist. You'll also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. I want to thank you for tuning in here on today's show inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. I want to thank Preston Shumpert for joining us on the heels of the Syracuse Orange men's basketball alum being announced as the official varsity boys basketball head coach at Liverpool High School for the Warriors. Big time shout out to Preston Shumpert, and a fantastic conversation this morning, which I hope will be of many. And as always, a wonderful conversation with our weekly guest that we have here, Mr. Papa Joe, joining us today to talk about Major League Baseball, the Jaguars, and a little bit of getting into the golf world coming off of one of the polls we put up on X at CallDT. That's CALLDT. So a big time shout out to our wonderful guest today. Thank you for watching and listening to the show. Shout out to Preston. Congrats again on the Liverpool job. Shout out to Papa Joe, and prayers on everything going well with some of the tests and different things that he has to go through here upcoming. I pray only for good things. X at CallDT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, and I cannot wait to see you tonight on site, on location at the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. We will be there tonight to celebrate the wonderful West Genesee Wildcats baseball program, who has won their first sectional championship in 47 years. And celebrating with them tonight, I'll be with head coach Kevin Krause and the team on stage at the Wildcat Sports Pub. We'll see you tonight, June 27th at 6 p.m. on the stage. Come have dinner, enjoy a wonderful show, and join me in celebrating, spotlighting, and honoring the West Genesee Wildcats baseball program on site at the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. We'll see you there tonight. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. And as I always let you know from the Heritage Hill Studios, God bless.